You're listening to a 14th source for all geeky nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to a podcast.
For all intents and purposes.
I am D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And we are your two overeducated nerd hosts, bringing you the things that we like to talk about, but filtered through inquisitive and critical lenses. In the episode for Friday, February 7th, 2025.
25.
Shit.
Oh my God.
I stumbled there. I nearly stumbled there.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, look, you know, time
it's only been
matter.
a whole month. What's that?
Time doesn't matter. You know,
hey.
Like, everything's gone to shit.
Everything's going backwards. Everything's going backwards anyway, so...
You know, I didn't realize... there's that thing where I always talk about Star Trek and how, like, I was excited for the luxury space communism.
Please.
And then, you know, I always said for a while, like, oh boy, actually, the Star Trek universe, it goes bad before it goes good. Mm-hmm. And then part of me is like, oh, but wait. Are we the mirror universe?
I do have a goatee and a tiny little dagger in my belt.
Right, like is that reveal that, like, oh shit, were we the bad guys all along?
On the other side, there's a Dan Bethel that makes good comics.
Every time you go to the mirror, you're like, oh wait, there's the Dan that's actually a good person. Yeah.
Well, thanks for starting up on a high note, Andrew.
Yeah. Always here to start on a boop before
Sounds
we go,
like you're in the middle of a term of teaching.
That is true. It is actually, in fact, the week where the midterm happens. So.
So that explains
so actually,
your
by the time
mindset.
some of you are listening to this, including one of those weird students who maybe is following my weird podcast, you may be getting ready for your midterm at 2 p.m. No, I didn't know. They Googled me. Like,
that's their first mistake.
I know, right? Unfortunately, I'm not one of those names that just has a lot of masking things, right? Like,
well, that's why you should just change your name to John Smith.
And then I will become the Doctor.
Yep.
So yeah,
better than changing your name to Bill Cosby.
Oh, wow.
Or honestly, Neil Gaiman at this point.
So hey, this was a weird week. Something happened this week I wasn't expecting.
What's that?
There was a trailer for a new Marvel movie.
Like, okay, yes. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and I say that because, like, I'm not saying I'm checked out of Marvel. Like, when it shows up, I'm like, oh, I'll watch this. But, like, I'm not, it's not the, like, oh, no, the new burp. Like, it's just like, oh, shit.
Checked out of Marvel, and are decked head to toe in fucking Agatha Harkness gear over here.
I do actually have 2 Agatha Harkness t-shirts. But like, the idea, I'm not following the hype, right? Like, it's not, like,
what hype? There's nothing going on.
Well, I mean, I think they think there is, right? Right. Someone at Disney thinks they're doing the hype train.
Okay, right. So, like, let's recap this. Like, what's going on right now? So, not what we're talking about, but like the next like capital M Marvel thing that is being
it's like
hyped
in
right
2
now.
weeks.
Is that the Brave New World? Captain America.
It's Captain America. Oops, the Trumpies won't like this.
Captain America 4.
Yeah, Captain America. What if the egotistical white president became the villain and then a black Captain America had to stop him? Like,
and what if, unfortunately, that white president was played by Harrison Ford?
By Harry Ford, yeah. So that's coming out in 2 weeks.
Good times, great oldies.
And then I think...
Also asking the very serious philosophical question of what if the Hulk was red?
Right, like, what does a red Hulk mean? We've seen green, we've seen gray.
He seems angry. That's the important thing. But more importantly than that is actually, as you're hinting at, like, there's something on the horizon that carries a bit of fresh air, like a little new pep in the step. Something.
And you're talking about the trailer that came out for Daredevil Born Again.
Yep, because when I mean pep in the step, I mean fist in the face.
I mean a blind man beating the fucking blood out of people.
I mean a red band trailer. Holy crap. No, but okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that was not on the docket for today, but still, still a breath of fresh air in its own kind of way. It's like, oh yeah, remember when Marvel
did a Red Band trailer show?
Pardon the pun. Remember when Marvel hit hard?
Right? And actually, what's weird is, for those that don't know, I guess for the two of you that don't know, Marvel Netflix made the Defenders shows, and they were grimdark. Like they were grimdark Marvel.
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron
Fist, and Luke Cage,
and Punisher.
And Punisher, and they were all they were dark, they were
rated R,
right? Like, what if Marvel did something that made you feel bad at the end? Right. And so when they're like, oh, now Disney's in charge, they're going to make a new Daredevil. You're like, are you? And we talked about Echo, which Echo was like
that was 2024, wasn't it? That's Fuck. Echo, why did we talk? Oh my, that was so good. Sorry.
Echo, well, we did talk about it, didn't we?
Mm-mm. I meant more like in my 2024 retro. I totally forgot about this show, which is a bad thing because that show's great.
But Echo was a show that's actually, we could do the darky stuff.
We can punch shit hard. Yeah, yeah.
Right? And then they're like, oh yeah, and of course everyone thought when Daredevil was in She-Hulk, they're like, no, look, they're gonna do it all, whatever. No, that's because he's in She-Hulk, right?
Right.
In She-Hulk, you play it like it's She-Hulk
when he's in his hot dog suit.
But now they're like, oh, now here's the Daredevil show, and they did a trailer again. Disney Marvel does a Red Band trailer, that's a.
I really like the idea of them finishing Echo and Feige and his cohort are like, what if we did this but more? Do we have anything that could do that? Actually, sir, we've done that. And
to be clear, they're already doing it, right? Echo really was, despite being its own standalone show, was actually it ends with a lead
because it brought back Kingpin as well, and
Wilson Fisk in his I don't even take my coat off to fucking bloody the shit out of people,
that guy needs some sort of reward somewhere. Right? Vince Vaughn, right?
No, not Vince Vaughn.
Not Vince Vaughn.
Vince D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio. That's a different world. That's the mirror universe, Andrew. So we're okay.
The mirror universe where Vince Vaughn plays Kingpin. But yeah, no, that trailer, it came out, and I think that show starts in March. So it's coming up soon. It is after Captain America, Sam Wilson Saves the World. We're going to get what if Daredevil punches people a lot.
Right. And gets punched probably a lot.
Oh, a lot. Right. To the point where Charlie Cox, I hope he's not actually getting punched.
No, I hope not. Yeah. I mean, he keeps going back to the role.
Right. So either.
Hope it's not just for the money.
So he's actually really brutally injured.
Right, he's missing teeth. He's like, sure, one more time, what could have hurt? I'm still numb from before, and he's British, so he's been punched so hard he's speaking in an American accent.
They fixed his accent through violence.
There we go.
So yeah,
but that's the thing though. There's a bit of a weird, what's the word, emotional distance there of watching that trailer going this feels new. This feels exciting and different and interesting, right? Luckily there's been another Marvel trailer that brings, I would argue,
about Thunderbolts asterisk, right?
We already talked about that.
That's true, we did. So I was just what else can I unload? Yes. You're talking about. Well, actually, what I want to say before we get into the thing that you think we're talking about.
Okay. I'm so scared.
This is the year that Marvel has dropped in the last couple months a lot of trailers for stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's it has a vibe of, and again, we'll see when the things come out.
The thing.
The shows, the things, right? The shows, the movies. But it feels are they back in a groove? Right? You know? Because I think, again, maybe. with and again, I say that realizing or it's going to eat shit. Because, we had Agatha all along. We have Daredevil. We had this Captain America, which, again, could be a shit show. But also, you watch the trailer, you're it's pretty good. This is it's pretty good. And then the Thunderbolts is
Thunderbolts asterisk. Okay. Yeah, it's
right. Criminal. And we also have this new one that dropped this week. Which one was that, Dan? I forgot.
Oh, are we talking about that one now? Okay, I was unsure. Yeah, so as of this recording, it dropped this morning. And we had our DC on the ground correspondent, Taylor, awake for that drop. Actually, he just happened to be awake anyway. But no, they dropped the teaser trailer for Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Which, I mean, let's be honest. Ne'er has there been a successful movie called Fantastic Four.
And also,
I mean, like
not to beg controversy, but like, I think Fantastic Four in a lot of ways was in the same category as someone like Captain America, which was before we had the Marvel Studios Renaissance. I felt like Fantastic Four was kind of in the same boat as Captain America. Like these they're irrelevant now. They were appropriate for their era. How can they say anything about, or how can they connect to anybody in a modern context, right? And then Marvel Studios went like, hey, not only Captain America can we make relevant, but like Iron Man, no one cares about him. Thor, no one gives a shit about him, right? That's part of the beauty of that first phase of Marvel movies is that they brought characters that weren't Spider-Man nor the X-Men and made them fan favorites to the point where they eclipsed those perennial bestsellers of Spider-Man and the X-Men to become, in a way, more popular than those characters. And so, like, it's bolstered by the fact that Fantastic Four movies have not done well. I should check the numbers on that. There's the first two. I'm not talking about the Roger Corman one here, but the first two Fantastic Four movies, I don't know if they did poorly, but I think the first one at least did fine. But it's definitely not like, oh, they changed cinema like Iron Man did, like the Avengers did, right? And then there was F4 Tist Ick 4. I don't know. Look at the logo for that weird reboot for Fantastic Four, where they made the A into a 4.
Right.
It's very confusing. It's like Resident Evil 4, right? It wasn't Resident Evil. It looked like if you looked at the title. Anyway, that was a weird movie. I watched that so you didn't have to. It's they tried to stick 3 movies into one, and it was not successful in that regard. Though I thought it was okay. Oops, excuse me. Though I thought it was okay. Generally, like it's not the worst time you're gonna have. That's for the Sony Spider-Verse films you're gonna watch, not the Spider-Verse. That's wrong. I mean, watching like Madam Web, right? Or
we're like apparently the worst fucking movie ever. Madam
what's Web. Craven the Hunter?
That came out.
Oh yeah, that came and went,
out
and it's bad. Yeah. Oh dude, if you want to have a good time, watch some clips from that. It looks like choices were made. And they were made for the internet. I don't know. So Marvel Studios has control over the Fantastic Four franchise since acquiring 20th Century Fox. And they had prior success with Deadpool and Wolverine as their first sort of major, we made this movie that features mutants, basically. And now we have... Oh, and then there's X-Men 97, of course. But now we have Fantastic Four. And there was a lot of kind of lead up to this trailer in terms of like, when is this taking place? How is this taking place? And there's been a lot of speculation. And it seems to be coming true in that it like takes place in a world that seems like the 1960s. And the trailer definitely leads into that aesthetic, although we don't get answers because it's a teaser trailer. It's not like, how does this fit into the MCU overall? And that's what I love about it the most. The trailer says, who cares? Look at this cool-ass scenario with these fun characters. And what I like most about the trailer is like, let's tell you what the Fantastic Four are about. And how iconographic and I would say... sort of how much they lean into the metaphor of what superheroism is about. And it's just a really good, for lack of a better word, argument for a film about superheroes. And I guess, I mean, this is pretty clear. I thought this trailer was fantastic. Oh God!
Oh, you found the title.
I'm on the payroll of Marvel. No,
actually,
nice.
let me actually. I want to get to something you just said. That this was a trailer that, like, it wasn't there to tell you how this fits in the MCU.
Right. It's not a homework trailer. Yeah.
And honestly, like, I was like, it's weird to watch it knowing it's going to be part of the MCU in some way. And I said, I actually, like, to myself thought, I don't care.
Right.
Like, actually, if this is just them making a movie with this weird, very 50s, 60s aesthetic, doing the thing they're going to do, like, I'm fine with that.
Right. And honestly, like I think one of the best reactions people could have, because it just resituates Marvel Studios in the culture, which I hope some young people are going, are they ripping off The Incredibles? Because
whoa, Michael Giacchino is doing the score.
So no, it's a sequel. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel
officially
to the Incredibles.
God, if only they got Brad Bird to direct, that would have been incredible or fantastic. Oh Jesus, I just saw what I did there. Yeah, so it's
let me double check. I'm pretty certain I read someone say that, like, oh wow, Michael Giacchino is doing the score.
I would not be surprised. Yeah.
Giacchino. It was like, oh, you're just doing The Incredibles, which again is the most like it's
Fantastic Four movie.
Right.
I said on a podcast not too long ago, I think it was in the Four Tales podcast, retrospective for the X-Men 97 series, where we got into a fight about the Fantastic Four, and someone said there's been no good Fantastic Four movies. And I believe I'm the one that said, actually, there have been two very good Fantastic Four movies. It's called The Incredibles 1 and Incredible 2.
Well, I feel targeted.
There has not been a bad Fantastic Four movie.
Danny,
yes, there has. Go watch the original.
There has not been a bad Fantastic Four movie.
Go watch the early '90s Fantastic Four movie that was never released.
Go watch that movie.
That was bad.
Go watch the 2004 one, and then go watch Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I love the Rise of the Silver Surfer
when they made.
Fan Four Stick was great. Stop it! Stop the Fantastic Four slander. They were all good movies.
Did you say great?
Never.
There's been two good Fantastic Four movies. They're called The Incredibles 1, Incredibles 2.
Yes.
Made by Brad Bird. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Incredibles and Incredibles 2.
Hey,
good Fantastic.
Hey, sir.
But now we might have a third to add to that list. Again, I'm not going to judge a movie based on its trailer, much less its teaser trailer. But good God, as a fan of superheroes, as a fan of storytelling, and as a fan that's exhausted by the homework of superhero movies, I really liked this trailer. I really liked it a lot. It felt different. It felt like it was kind of creating a new voice within the continuity, for lack of a better word, of superhero cinema, and just like making things focused and melodramatic and simple, which is what, as we have been lamenting for the last, let's just say 2-3 months, just straightforward and clear, right?
Well, and let me do a comparison or a contrast.
Sure.
I would say the Fantastic Four just feels like, here's a fun superhero movie. And the one I want to actually put in is like the opposite side of the spectrum, but in a good way. I would actually say that Thunderbolts Asterisk.
Yeah, sure.
Feels like the movie where, like, you got to know who these people are.
Right.
But that's the movie that feels like, oh, here are the characters I've seen in other stuff in a lighthearted, silly movie, right? Like, here are these weird characters. And I think those are both things that Marvel can do. And and I think both could be fun and successful, but neither of them have the, like, here's this important story you have to watch all the stuff to do. You know, like,
right.
One is here are new characters in a completely different fun environment. One is here are these characters who all come from serious movies, but like in bullshit. You know, like in the bullshit of, of what's his name of
Feige?
the red
The
Red Guardian or whatever, like his car, like, here's the thing, that's the party car button, right? And like this kind of like the silliness of like, that's the other spectrum, but neither of them gave me that vibe of like what I would say, not to poo-poo on it, but like Ant-Man, Quantumania, or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where it had a certain amount of like, this is a serious movie. You need to do your homework before you see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I push that against a little bit that with Multiverse of Madness, but that's just because Sam Raimi doesn't give a fuck. But yeah.
Well, but the idea that if you have no context of WandaVision, you sit down to watch a movie, you're like, what the fuck is this? Oh yeah,
I'll give you that. Like, Multiverse of Madness is the sequel to WandaVision and the prequel to Agatha. Yeah, like it is an important entry.
And even that Multiverse of Madness has the bit where when they go, they meet the council of whatever, and that's just that's just jerking off your Marvel fan.
You're right.
Right, and that's what.
But then what I love is that Raimi unceremoniously kills them all off. Honestly, it's a very James Gunn move.
And I'm not complaining about the film.
No.
But like, and I remember this is actually going back to a comment you made 2 years ago. Like, when this movie comes out, we'll have to do homework, and I would argue yes. Where the Fantastic Four says no, just go watch it.
Yeah, and that's what we need.
Watch Pedro Pascal clearly lead some young ward to freedom or success. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming because that's what he does.
That's what he does. And the only difference is he going to talk a lot or a little?
Right. Is he going to? Are we going to see his face? Well, we already see his face.
So hey, let's. You know what? I'm a Marvel producer. Let's mix up the let's mix things up a little bit here. What if Pedro Pascal does a little bit of math? Then we got Reed Richards, is what I'm saying. We saw Reed Richards writing on 2 chalkboards, Andrew.
Yeah, and
that's pretty impressive.
Do you know what we didn't see him doing?
Stretching.
That's
the one. Like, that's the one one thing I was sharing with people that I felt like I feel like I saw something unique and interesting, which is coming out of that trailer. There were 2 things that I could see that I thought were conspicuously absent. One was something that I thought was conspicuous. The other one was like I could see nerds being upset about it. One was we saw every single member of the Fantastic Four using their powers except for I almost said Doctor Strange. No, Mr. Fantastic, right? Reed Richards. We didn't see him doing any stretching. And I have theories about as to why. Because it looks silly,
right? Because the special effect looks like shit, and they
right.
don't want to. They don't want to see it until the movie.
We're still working on that tech. And then we saw Galactus, which I was not expecting for a teaser, specifically. And but we know it's been reported for a while that the Silver Surfer has been cast, and we didn't see that character in the trailer at all, which I wasn't expecting. And it's not as I would maybe expect them in a trailer down the line, but I could also see them saving that for the movie because the Silver Surfer is quite a beloved character, and it's well known at this point that the casting is casting against type, which I could see them trying to avoid the internet as much as possible.
Right. Well, and I will admit, I didn't realize that this film would feature Galactus.
Right. Oh, cool. Wow. So that must be cool.
Like, when I saw that, I was like, oh,
like, that doesn't look like a weird cloud.
Right. Like they're going there, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
But I will say that when you mentioned the Silver Surfer, I looked it up and I was like, oh, well, they actually have already said who's playing the Silver Surfer. And then I'm like, oh, what's this name? Let me Google it. Like, oh, that's not the conventional Silver Surfer. It's
meaning not a dude.
Right.
That's the big thing, yeah.
But it's like it's a different. It's not even the same character, right? Like,
right.
It's a different character who was the Silver Surfer, because again, the idea of the Silver Surfer, it's a herald of Galactus,
right?
While the one that apparently we recognize as the Silver Surfer is kind of the normal one. There are others.
Which is why President Trump is here to set things straight and to
I mean,
de-wokeify This is clearly a DEI hire. Oh my god, I fucking hate everything, Andrew.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Herald of Trumpactus.
Yep.
Is already is already manifest.
Yep. But that, anyway. You make a good point. Like they even, that's the thing. It's like you don't have to do. It seems like you don't have to do homework to watch this movie, but the choices that are being made are clearly rooted in what seems to be mostly the Lee Kirby comics, like the original comics. They're being very reverent and devoted to what the Fantastic Four are at their core. But also any deviations, they seem to be able to back up with, with issue numbers, for lack of a better word.
Right. No, I think that's a good point. I will say that, and I guess I can say this now because the world's turning to shit.
Yep.
They, none of the. I'm going to say this. Please don't hate me. There are no DEI hires, right? Like the Fantastic Four are all, cast as kind of they are, right?
Yeah.
In the original comic.
Lily White. Well, I guess
right. Yeah. White people.
Pedro Pascal, technically. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're white people. And to a certain extent, though, like they're it's because it's in the '60s era, and I say that only because when the F4-tastic 4, they cast Johnny Storm is with Michael B. Jordan. So it's a weird thing not a weird thing. They are like playing to the original in a lot of ways.
Conceit, yeah.
But also like again the fact that the Silver Surfer is a different character.
Yeah.
But again, as you said, they can back it up with issue numbers.
Right. Different character, different gender. Let's just reinforce that. Yeah.
Right. So I like,
because Galactus has had many heralds. If you want to go into the comics,
that's what they picked a different herald.
Exactly. They just happens to be silver. Rides a surfboard. But that's fine. Yeah. I'm not complaining. Shit. That sounded like I was bitching, but no.
And that's what I want to say. Like, I think it's because there's still interesting stories there. Like the original Fantastic Four, they're not like, I'll say that the Thing, Ben Grimm, he has a story, right? Jeez,
yeah, they nailed that. Holy shit. He looks like an Alex Ross painting, for those that know. Like it's crazy how well they nailed that. I know I've heard some people complaining about different things about it, but like I also know I'm familiar with the actor because I've seen his most what's his name? Yeah, Eben Moss, I think his name is. He's most famous from the Hulu TV show The Bear, where once I heard he was cast as Ben Grimm, I'm like, yeah, he's a grumpy man. I could see, and he's a grumpy, complex man, and I think it's actually a perfect fit. And I'm not going to lie, for those that are fans of The Bear, that the main scene that was shown in the trailer for The Thing was him tasting food.
Oh,
I'm like, oh shit, this is great.
I didn't realize he was in The Bear.
He's a huge Richie. He's Richie in The Bear. It's great casting, and his character in The Bear, again, that's just a character, of course, but like he's a character that has a hair trigger, so we get to see a character that is equal parts gentle and caring and devoted and loving to someone that is an absolute maniac. And one of the things I love about the trailer, aside from that extended scene of him, tasting food, which again felt like a very big, sort of like handout to fans of the actor from that know him from The Bear. We see that character presented with that pathos, right? Of like from classic historians, like this, what was it? Like this man, this monster or something, I think it's called, where like we see images of Ben Grimm before he goes into space and the TVs turn off and we see the Thing standing in this place. And like, it's just, even the short trailer, it hits pretty profoundly. And I would think of all the characters they show in the trailer, I think they do a pretty good job of like really emphasizing the Thing or Ben Grimm.
Right.
And I'm really interested in that arc. Because it's probably, in a lot of ways, it's really relatable. Sure, I'm not made of rocks. Not yet. But we see the start of an arc there, in a sense, more than we do some other characters. And it's just beautifully set up, and it's simple, and it's focused, and it's clear, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah. No, I would say that I think they've I mean, again, give them a chance to fuck up, I guess.
Right. But so far, they're not doing that.
No, this is like never expected to see a Fantastic Four trailer and say, "Holy shit, I want to see that."
Right. I know. I'll cut back to Captain America: The First Avenger, seeing that trailer for the first time and going like, "Oh shit, I could watch a Captain America movie." Right? I never thought I'd say that. One of the interesting things I thought I took away from the trailer was they did a really interesting and good idea where Reed and Sue are talking about their team and their family, right? It's like he was feeling guilt because like before he went up to space, you couldn't turn invisible, and I couldn't stretch or whatever. And then she walks through, is like, well, Johnny has always been a hothead, and Ben has always been the Rock, and she says, and I've always been there. And they're like, oh, the implied situation is like, and you've never seen me, right? I'm like,
oh
maybe
shit.
Maybe it's my English major brain taking over, but I'm like, okay. But it's just what I love about it. It's like it takes it back to the core of what superheroes are as a metaphor for what we've experienced in life and society, and gives it a really sort of relatable hook. And yeah, it takes place in the 60s and speaks a lot to maybe a lot of cultural sentiments in the 60s, but a lot of those still exist. And it's like, it's nice to like this. Yeah, okay. The Marvel Cinematic Universe exists, but just let's talk about these 4 characters and the shit they're going through. Like that feels so fresh and interesting, and just a nice reset for analysis. And man, I can't wait to see more. I can't wait to see more of the Fantastic Four. I never thought. Yeah, I can't wait to see 4 more trailers. Yeah.
Yeah. No. What a weird surprise to my week to be like, oh wait,
yeah,
this is the first time I see it, because I think anyone that knows me, I admit this a lot. I've never seen any Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, well, I guess we got homework.
Well, just because, like, I don't want to say it, they mostly all look bad, right?
Yeah.
They've never looked that good.
Sure.
And I mean, I'll see them at some point, again, especially now.
Do you?
But
yeah, I guess.
But it was such a weird thing to watch this and be like, holy shit! I want to see it, right? Like this seems like a cool ass movie.
Yeah. I will say this, as someone that's seen, I think, all of them except for the Roger Corman one. This is my takes. And dear listeners, please feel free to insert your takes. So ignoring the Roger Corman copyright protector movie, right? Or, yeah, like option protection movie, because it was never officially released. The first Fantastic Four movie, I think, is okay. It's okay. It's okay. The second one, less okay, but has interesting moments. Specifically what they do with Silver Surfer, I think is really cool. And then that reboot, you could just, it's an exercise in, you can literally see writing by committee. And like, oh, I see where this changed. I see where this changed. And so I'm under the umbrella of Marvel Studios. I think it's set up for a really earnest and interesting and thoughtful take. For lack of a better word with this, they've taken their time to develop this film and wait for the right moment to actually introduce these to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there's a lot of speculation also with like the multiverse and like, where is this in? Was it 616? Is that the Cinematic Universe? And like, or is it outside? And like, I don't know. I've seen people dissecting even what Reed is writing on the chalkboards. It's like, is this a multiverse tunnel or whatever bullshit? So like, we'll see. But
I'm so glad those people have time for that.
That is something that exists for the post-credit sequence and not for the movie itself. So
and something we'll get in the post-credit sequence rather than
exactly
turning a 1 minute 37-second trailer into a 17-minute YouTube episode.
And that's the thing. Like, I think there's a lot of fans that like they're only going to go see the movie to see that post-credit sequence, right? And that's kind of disheartening. Like, how about we just enjoy? And this is something I've been spouting for years. Like, is it a good movie? That's what matters, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to see these characters presented in a way that presents an interesting story, good growth, and says something rather than just what's the mystery? Like what's the next sort of like puzzle revealed in the puzzle box, which I think a lot of people are kind of bought into. I'm like, fuck the puzzle box. Is this a good movie? And that's all I care about. And
Right.
Considering how different it seems, I'm interested. They have a good. All I can say is they have a good trailer. They have a good trailer.
Yeah, good trailer. And the cast seems good too.
The cast seems good. Yeah. Galactus seems legit. He's got the helmet. I know friend of the show and on the ground Marvel correspondent Kyron is pretty excited to see Galactus. He's especially invested in the cosmic stuff with regard to Marvel, so he's excited to see Galactus and what they do with Silver Surfer. And maybe we'll probably bring him on to talk about the movie once it comes out. So yeah. The next after Brave New World, which also looks good, and I guess after Thunderbolts is what? Do we know what? Does this come out before or after Thunderbolts?
I assume that Fantastic Four is after Thunderbolts because
It's summer, right? Yeah, it's July. They said in the trailer, which is around the time the new Superman film comes out, which we can talk about at a later date. But that also has an interesting kind of tone that I would say is similar to Fantastic Four in that it just feels new, fresh, revitalized, kind of like it's just a self-contained kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to that as well. It's got a dog in it.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's another episode right there.
It's got a dog with the cape on it.
You said self-contained, and I would say hard disagree. But anyway,
maybe. Oh well, it's got Green Lantern in it and stuff like that. That's fun,
right? Like infinity other fucking characters.
Right. But we won't talk about that. We'll talk. Maybe
that's another episode.
We'll do a bonus episode talking about the Superman trailer because I think there's a lot there, and I think it's generally positive overall.
But more importantly,
yeah,
who is Pedro Pascal's character? What youthful ward is he guiding through the Fantastic Four film, right? Who, we've seen Pedro Pascal play this part in everything. You know, who's his Grogu or his girl from The Last of Us?
Oh, Ellie, yeah.
Ellie. Who's the Ellie?
I think to connect everything, to bring it all together, I think he's actually guiding a very young Lex Luthor.
Okay, that's the wrong franchise.
Oh no.
Yeah.
DC will get Pedro Pascal in the part at some point.
Well, they already did, actually.
They did? Oh, you're right. Wonder Woman 1984. You're absolutely right. Shit. Maybe he's guiding himself. Because don't forget, it's 1984. So I'm just saying. I think we closed the loop on this. Solving all problems. We have solved and fixed superhero cinema forever. That's our job.
Wrap it up.
And that's all I have to say about that. So if you, dear listeners, have any thoughts about the topic we discussed this week, feel free to leave your thoughts as comments on the page for this episode at forallintents.net.
You can also post your comments on Facebook.
Yep. You can find us
that's all I got to say.
You can find us in other social media, specifically the places that Andrew and I frequent, which means you can find Andrew on Mastodon at ProfoundDark at Dice.camp. You can find me on Instagram at DBethelComics.
While you're at our website at forallintents.net, you can also take a look at our YouTube page by clicking on the link in the corner that says YouTube. There you'll find our show, simulcast in YouTube. If you are listening to the show on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Or as the kids like to say, ring that bell.
We use two tracks of music for our show. One is called Disco Medusae. The other is called District 4, both written and performed by Kevin McLeod, the Clan McLeod, immortal swordsman, graph paper enthusiast, and musician extraordinaire.
You can find his music at incompetech.filmmusic.io, and that's all licensed under the Creative Commons 4.0 attribution license.
If you like the show and like to help us out, the best way to do so would be to subscribe to the show using whichever podcasting service you happen to use. What would help us out even more, though, would be to leave some sort of review, whether a text review or using their proprietary metric will help spread the word to new potential listeners to the magic of algorithms. I was really excited there. You said, or as the kid likes to say, ring that bell. I'm like, who's the kid? The one child that rules all of the internet. It's probably some asshole that has opinions about LGBTQ folk.
Right. It's some kid that says the word woke in a negative context too often.
Right. Well, we're not here for them.
Hey, there's a lot going on. I will say, I just want to drop this hot take.
Oh, shit.
Not hot take. It is interesting. Speaking of kids with bad opinions, I actually watched the first 2 episodes of the new Spider-Man animated series, which is the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I gotta say, first 2 episodes, thought it was fun. Liked it. Speaking of Marvel properties that are too fucking dense, just the number of character drops this show does in the first. But again, it could just be the kind of like, I mean, they're doing a series, right? So like, you don't know, are they just dropping these because they're going to be in an episode in the future? Or are they dropping it because, fuck you, it's a Marvel show?
Well, in terms of the integrated and complex continuity, thank God our show has an on-the-ground Marvel correspondent in one Kyron Silva. And thank God there's been a recent Marvel show that many people in our sphere have been invested in. One, Agatha all along. Actually, I've said Agatha so much, I keep saying that first. I'm not even joking. And so, dear listeners, next week, we might have...
Why are you advertising? Because you're like, this is going to happen, and then when something goes wrong, it's not going to happen
next week, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to eat my butt. Wait.
Okay.
Or my shoe. One of the two.
That's an OnlyFans right there.
Oh yeah, we don't have one of those. So if that doesn't happen, I'm going to eat a piece of toast. And on air, because no one likes hearing eating sounds on the microphone. So stay tuned, stay ready, and stay vigilant. So until you eat a piece of toast on a microphone for people to hear, I'm D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And for all intents and purposes,
that was a podcast.
So until so
wow, if you do like fuck this episode,
so yeah, fuck the outro, fuck that shit. No one cares about that anyway.
And we're out.
And we're out.
NFL will remove end racism from the end zones ahead of Super Bowl.
What?
Yikes. That's a new
What does
story.
that mean? Wait, say that one more time. What is that?
NFL will remove end racism, in quotes, from the end zones ahead of Super Bowl.
Were those in the end zones?
Apparently, according to this.
That was just like corporate company names, like Amazon and fucking Epson.
Well, if you eat like an animal, no one wants to fucking hear it.
That's the thing. Microphones make you sound like the most disgusting person on the planet. Have you listened to anything we've said over the last 10 years? It's just nothing but mouth sounds. No one hears what we're saying. It's just mouth sounds.
Yeah.
How many ages does an empire need, Andrew? This is very...
3 to 4. What
I'm a medieval man.
What do you want?
What do you want? What do you want? Why do you keep touching me?
What a
hell yeah.
weird fucking song.
Jesus Christ. Are we putting that? Are you cutting that into the end of this episode?
Yeah,
maybe.
like fucking Actabliz come after me with a copyright cease and desist.